Hey guys, Hitman89 here, I hope you're doing great, and today we're gonna be diving into GTA, the Trilogy, the Definitive Edition, which apart from having a long name, launched in a bad state. So bad that people got mad and were extremely disappointed in Rockstar for handing this remaster to Grove Street Games, you know, the studio who made the mobile version. If you played the Definitive Edition day one, you would know it came with weird looking cartoony character models, horrible rain that's so white it looked like it was raining milk, terrible performance, even on next-gen consoles, and a lifetime supply of bugs and glitches. So the question we're gonna be answering today is, several updates later, is the game good now? Without further ado, let's start this review with the graphics.
Oh shit, here we go again.
I reviewed the game on PS5, but I've also played it on Series X, and out of the two graphics modes to choose from, which are fidelity and performance, I picked performance because as you can see, the difference in terms of image quality is far from being huge. I mean, there are a few things that are less detailed, like water ripples, a smaller amount of dynamic shadows, in other words, nothing really worth sacrificing 30 frames per second for. And even though it kinda sucks that character models look so cartoony now, in GTA 3 and Vice City it kinda matches the world, so it's fine. But San Andreas just looks weird, cause apart from losing its foggy yellow tint style and dirty looking streets, it now has stretched up, snake looking characters and cartoony gang members that look like they straight up came out of Fortnite.
It's embarrassing to be seen with you.
On the other hand, reflections look good, dynamic shadows too, they make these games look so much better. I'm also glad they fixed the rain, so now it looks alright, and the draw distance has been heavily increased, but there's just way too much pop in. Now when it comes to animations, the physics-based ones aged horribly. Facial animations can also be funny, and not in a good way. Probably not how you remember them with your nostalgia goggles. In all seriousness though, better physics would have resulted in heavily improved animations during combat or when running over people. That being said, remasters are usually just the same game at a higher resolution and with better textures. So I'm really glad this Definitive Edition is way more than just that. Now when it comes to performance, you would expect a game that looks like this to run at a perfectly stable 4K 60 FPS on next-gen consoles, right? Wrong, cause regardless of the graphics mode you pick, the frame rate is not stable. Whenever you drive fast or run into another vehicle, you can notice those frame rate drops, and things get even worse when it rains during nighttime. By the way, the same applies to PS4 Pro and Xbox One X, and obviously the base consoles don't even have quality options, they just run at 30 FPS. Now for those of you on PC, you'll be fine if you have a decent rig, but if it's just average, then you're gonna have to play on medium settings to have an okay looking game running at 60 FPS most of the time. But if you're on Nintendo Switch, I'ma go ahead and save you some time. Don't even bother getting the Definitive Edition, you're better off playing the original games on PS2 at this point. Now let's move on to the sound. Starting with the music, the soundtrack lost a few tracks, some of my favorites too. For example, Killing in the Name Of, Running Down a Dream and Ring My Bell are among the 17 missing tracks in San Andreas. Billie Jean and 7 other songs were removed from Vice City, but the best and most popular songs are still there, and that's great news. Last but not least, GTA 3's soundtrack remains the same. Speaking of things that haven't changed, the sound effects and voice acting are exactly the same. So on San Andreas, for example, guns still sound like firecrackers. Anyways, I'll let you listen to the game audio a little bit before we take a closer look at the gameplay.
You two, free!
You wanna die?
Can you drive, amigo?
Yeah, like a woman.
Very funny.
Like I said a couple of minutes ago, this Definitive Edition isn't just a graphical overhaul. It came with tons of quality of life improvements, like a weapon wheel, a radio station wheel too, an autosave feature, the ability to restart a mission immediately after failing it, and sometimes even from a mid-mission checkpoint for missions that are split into multiple sections or that are simply too hard. Also, some features that were missing at launch have been added, like the cinematic camera and the possibility to disable the target outline when aiming. Speaking of aiming, you can now shoot in the direction you're facing when performing a drive-by instead of having to press a button to look right or left before you can shoot in that direction, and that's a welcome addition. But there are still way too many bugs and glitches. I mean, after the latest update, it only took me 30 seconds to come across the first bug, and I'm not even exaggerating, it's almost impossible to play for 20 minutes without encountering a bug. I even had the problem where every time I started San Andreas and picked resume, the game would crash. I tried several times and the game crashed every single time. I had to load an older save and then load the most recent autosave to avoid making the game crash.
This shit sucks. Say it!
Yeah, it does, and it's a shame because these problems ruin the fun and make you feel like you're playing a beta version even though the game came out like 3 months ago. Speaking of fun, let's move on to the fun factor. There's always a lot of nostalgia involved when replaying games that marked your childhood. In my case, I finished all 3 games on PS2 a little less than 20 years ago. So, did I have fun playing these remastered games?
Yeah!
Was my enjoyment hindered by all sorts of technical issues? You bet your ass it was. I mean, visual glitches and minor bugs can be funny, but game-breaking bugs during hard missions pissed me off so much. Which takes me to the value for money. In my opinion, in its current state, $20 would be perfect for this trilogy, maybe $30 if it ever gets fixed, but there is no way it's worth $60, especially with all the good games released in this year. I mean, I'm disappointed, and I got the game from buygames.ps who are selling it for $35, and I'm playing it on PS5. So if you're on Switch, once again, save your money. I've seen the Switch version and I'm telling you, even $10 would be too much for the piece of shit you're getting. Last year, I really wanted to play Vice City again, because of its soundtrack and also because it's the first game I played on PS2. So when this trilogy was announced, I was really excited to play it. Turns out it's the mobile version, upgraded and released for $60. In my opinion, if the definitive edition was polished enough, most people wouldn't have had a problem with its price. But they released the game in such a bad state that everyone who bought it day one felt like they got robbed. And as you saw throughout this video, even after the updates it received, this definitive edition, although enjoyable, is still too broken to recommend to most people. And that's why I'ma give it a 5 out of 10. GTA, the trilogy, the definitive edition still needs at least a couple more major updates to avoid feeling like a half-assed version released to make a quick buck. Cause my guess is, since GTA 5 Next Gen wasn't ready to come out on November 11th and had to be delayed, they rushed this definitive edition and released it instead to make some money before the end of the year. I don't know, that's just my guess. Anyways, I hope you found this video useful. Hit the like button if you did, and please subscribe if you're new to the channel. It's been Hitman89. See you guys very soon.